Okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
It is now 5 o'clock. We will begin the workshop for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, July 31st, 2014. We do have a citizens forum tonight. Mr. Larry Smith, would you like to step to the podium, please? Excuse me.
Good evening. Madam Mayor, Alderman, and visitors here. I'm Larry Smith. I live at 225 Rollingwood Court in Laverne. I've been a citizen of Laverne for almost 25 years. And I'm here not as a foe to the city council. I know sometimes when I show up, I say, oh God, he's over here again. Well, let me just tell you, I'm here as a citizen who wants to do what you guys said in your campaigns that you want to do for the city, and that's to make Laverne a better place to live, a better place to work, and a safe place. I value my property, as I'm sure all the citizens of Laverne do, but unfortunately, there's some problems that we need to work out, and I'll work with you. And I hope you will hire me. I'll do anything for the city. I'd like to be on the city and for beautification. I'm here tonight to address the parking of cars in the front yards. Now, that has led to a real problem for devaluing one's property. No one likes to go in to look at a home and see cars parked all over the front yards, and that takes away from the value to start with. Through studies which I've read, and I know some of you guys have taken urban development classes, and you know that takes away from the value of your home already. But it snowballs. And what I mean by that, monkey see, monkey do. When one neighbor sees it done, he gets away with it. Even though he's got ample parking in his driveway, he parks in his yard. I've got a full picture portfolio here to show you. I went to Lake Forest. I went to several other developments. Not one instance was a car necessary to be parked in the front yard. However, it was. So you can't tell me in defense that these people don't have any place to park. Well, let me just tell you, I don't want Woodland Hills, where I live, to become Lake Forest. But I really feel sorry for those people who live in Lake Forest, because we have allowed, the city has allowed people to come in with subsidized government homes, rental homes come in there, and those people who worked hard with blood, sweat, and tears to buy their homes with good money see their property values go down. We shouldn't allow that. What I'm here tonight is to ask you, once again, look at this. If we hurt people's feelings, too bad. We need to hurt people's feelings. We need this city to be clean. Drive through. Let me show you the pictures. Drive through the city like I have last month and see what people who visit our city see. They see trash. They see broken windows. They see dirty cars. These cars are inoperative cars. I hate to keep running to the codes and say, hey, you got a problem here. Madam Mayor, you said you're going to step up the codes enforcement. I hope you do. Mr. Broke, you said you want to make this a better place to live. Mr. Waldron, you said the same thing. Well, I'm just asking you to do what you said you would do. We can do it. I can help you. Everybody in here that's living in Laverne wants their values to mean what they spent. I spent $70,000 in the last 2 years, making improvements on my home. Right now, I probably won't get any of that out. So, take another look. If you hurt some feelings, so be it. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, if you would, could we make copies of those pictures?
I'll put them on the CD for you, and I'll have them for the City Council.
That would be fabulous.
As a matter of fact, Madam Mayor, I've talked to the D&J, they're going to come with pictures as well. Not to make this a political thing, I don't need that. And let me tell you, I don't like government interference. I'm the one that does, I say, leave me alone. But when it comes to affecting other people's rights and doing something that will hurt their value of their home, then somebody has to step up the plate. Mr. Walter, you told me once you would certainly help me with that. Mr. Broker, I've been around your house. I've seen your house. And unfortunately, we've got, you know what, we've got a great city police officer, chief here, Mike Walker, and I applaud Mr. Walker. But however, going around, Mr. Broker right beside you, is a police officer that live beside you?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Broker, I would love to have a police officer live beside me. I think it would be great. However, I don't like a truck parked in the front yard and a city police car parked in the front yard as well. It doesn't, when there's ample space. I took a picture the other day, and I think this police officer is probably a good guy and probably an excellent police officer. He didn't do anything wrong. It's not broken the law. However, it looks like we would be setting examples for the city. This is not the way to beautify the property. Your property, by the way, Mr. Broker, looked fine. Miss Green got the prize. She had the best looking property. Let me tell you, and for somebody and owned a junkyard, Mr. Waldron, your front yard was fair enough. I wouldn't have no complaint. Mr. Farmer, I didn't see yours, so I'm sorry to say.
There's no grass.
No grass.
There's too many trees.
And Madam Mayor, I did go past your house, nothing, a beautiful home there. I do have a problem with motor homes, but that would be another issue. But your neighbor down the street there with about 12 cars in the front yard, I have a problem with that. I don't know who it is, don't care. But we need to look at this. Are we together? We want to make this city look more beautiful. Put me on to beautification. Let me do my job. You need somebody like me.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. All right. We'll move right into the regular business now. Prayer will be by myself, and Vice Mayor, you have the pledge this time. Please, we only have one set of minutes this time, so we can read over those. Be prepared to vote for those. On into old business, we'll have the second reading, ordinance 2014-16, an ordinance to rescind ordinance 2013-16, and delete Title 11, Chapter 6, Section 11-604 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding ephedrine control. I know this saddens us, but we will have to. I know the state did up some of their laws and the last session, and we've got to follow suit with the state. And I think possibly by us doing this, it may have helped them to toughen some of those laws. I think all of us would like to see them a little tougher, but it is what we've got now, and this is how we're going to have to deal with it. So do I have any questions or comments on this? Next, we'll move right into our consent agenda items. First, approve recommendations for city bids and purchases. First one on our agenda is the bid, Fire Department medical supplies. Chief Clark, do you have that for us?
One of the issues that whenever I took my position is one of the things that I wanted to try to help with is reoccurring cost in medical supplies. I think that we've researched it, and what we're requesting is to work off the contract that Memphis Fire Department currently has. They're in their second year of a 5-year program. We will reduce some medical supply costs greatly. If I'm not mistaken, the guy from Boundtree will not be here tonight, but there's some great reduction in cost in medical supplies. It is a full array If an item is not on the bid, then we do get it at a reduced price. So,
And I still think, I don't think a lot of residents truly realize we are first responders, which means we are first called for the medical responses here in Laverne. Our fire department actually makes medical calls.
yes.
The biggest part of our guys now are EMTs or are in EMT training, and we do have a paramedic with us. So hopefully, eventually, I think we should be able to get to the BLS. But with us having one ambulance that actually sits here in Laverne, these guys have actually saved some lives since we've been running this program. And I know, Vice Mayor, you work with them on a regular basis, and I just don't think people truly understand that y'all absolutely make medical runs as well.
Correct.
And I think that's why I needed to bring this out. Again, I'll remind everyone we are being televised live, but people really need to understand that y'all do more than sit around and wash vehicles. Y'all actually get out and make runs and are constantly on the move. And it thrills me to hear of lives that's been saved because of the response from our fire department.
Just the other day, just to give you an example, I made a motor vehicle accident out on I-24, and one of the medics got out and says, you know, we really love coming up here just due to the response of your medical type guys. And so that meant a lot to me coming from where I come from.
Exactly.
And so I was very grateful and would like to pass the word. Those comments come very often from our medical personnel up here, because we all work as a team. Even though we're two different agencies, two different type departments, they work real well together. And I'm on the phone constantly with the medical and making sure that we're working properly. I call them at least a couple weeks into it and say, hey, does it look good? So we have that medical response, and then we have a responsibility of kind of doing a quality control ourselves as well on our paperwork to make sure that we include all of the assessments and our findings for each patient. The medical supplies, some of this is swapped out on the scene, but a lot of times we're not able to due to the critical nature of the call. So that's where our expenses come in, such as maybe a bag valve mask or gauze or things like that, oxygen supplies. Our supplies are limited. However, they do have a cost to them, and we want to reduce that as much as possible. And so hopefully using the Memphis Fire contract, they use a large quantity, so that will reduce our cost as well.
Any questions? Questions? Thank you very much.
No.
Number 2, GSA pricing, Panasonic Toughbook, arbitrator cameras for police vehicles. Chief.
Brian or Keith?
I saw Brian come in. Where'd he go? Oh, he's hiding from me.
And Mayor, this item and the next one go hand in hand.
Okay. So we'll be discussing number 2 and the purchase of other services relating to the Panasonic Toughbook, arbitrator cameras for the police vehicles. Mr. Bryan?
Yes, ma'am.
The
These
floor
are
is
to
yours.
replace the old watch guard systems that are currently in all of the other vehicles other than the SUV, the newer SUVs that have the new arbitrators in them. This gets the entire fleet at the same level, same camera in all of our vehicles. We're having a lot of problems with the watch guards, as Chief can attest to. In danger of losing evidence and not getting recordings that we need, and potentially losing convictions because of it. So this gets the fleet up and equal and ready to go. Should a vehicle go down, be wrecked, it comes out, goes in the replacement vehicle. And then the second page is the maintenance services for the server, all of the clients, and some on-site training that I never got because the 30 that we have were in place before I got here. So for some server training and things of that nature. So.
And this is in the budget.
This was budgeted, I think a total of $80,000
Yes, sir.
was budgeted, and this comes just under that number.
Excellent. Any questions? Thank you. I'm sorry. B, approve application for the 2015 LSTA Technology Grant for the library. And this is something we do every year.
Something that we do every year, and Glenn could probably speak toward this a little bit better than I could.
Yes, this is the same grant that we do with the state every year. It's just that time again. Thought the mouse would make it up here, but it didn't, so I can't scroll. But you can see in your packets what we're asking for. I believe it comes to about 4,400 total, and we'll get half of that back. And all these things are in our budget anyway, so just a 50-50 matching grant.
Okay, so it is 50-50, I thought so. Okay. Any questions? Thank you. C, approve agreement between the City of Laverne and Youth Incorporated for the 2014 Fall Inline Hockey League. Have we got that ready to go, AC?
We talked with Gary Curtis today. He's got to change some verbiage. Bruce, I think you talked to Julie about that, about they're going to take basketball out, and his insurance is going to run out on the 14th of September. He said that he'll have it renewed before then, so, but everything else is the same in the standard.
That's just on the certificate of insurance that they have to provide to us.
Right.
The agreement itself should be ready to go. We'll make sure that the certificate is appropriate when we get it.
Excellent. Any questions? D, approve an application for a roadblock to be conducted for the Shriners from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. on October 4th, 2014, with a rain date of October 11th, 2014, at the intersection of Murfreesboro Road and Stones River Road. Do I have any comments? They did? Mm-hmm. Any questions? That's a good group. Alrighty. Number E, approve change order number 1, which is the final, for the 18-inch water line installation near the roundabout. Mr. Bill?
Good evening. The contractor installing the 18-inch water line near the roundabout is complete. We've tested the water main, and it sampled it, and everything's come out good, and it's now in service. We'll do the final inspection soon. I'm sure it'll generate a punch list. It always does. But basically, the project's over. We set a date of substantial completion. The contract completion date was August 6th, so he completed the project ahead of schedule. As you can see, he also completed it under budget. This change order does two things. It reduces some of the quantities to the actual quantities that were installed. I don't know if you've got this in your packet, but it gives the numbers. We installed about approximately 100 feet fewer pipe than we anticipated. We had a budget in there for concrete and riprap if we needed them. It turned out we did not need them. What we did need was an extra reducer, a 24-inch by 18-inch reducer, so that's in this change order. So the net effect of this change order is to reduce the contract by $34,745. And if you'll go back to the first page, that means the initial budget that we put together 2 or 3 years ago were approximately $450,000 under budget for this one project. So that money can go back into the kitty for the other projects. So we recommend that the city approve and accept change order number 1.
I saw Neil's eyes light up.
And incidentally, this is the same contractor who built Walden Road Pump Station, but this project came in before deadline, so I want to give him credit for doing that.
Absolutely.
So,
And you said that all went really well too, so.
yes,
Any questions? Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Approve working agreement HM 12-13 between the Tennessee Housing Development Agency and the City of Laverne for the THDA Home Grant.
Mayor, this is the agreement with the state for this home grant. we've been awarded, I believe, $210,000 that we're going to use to help, hopefully, I think, up to 6 homes in Laverne to make improvements, and this is just the contract with the state to do that.
Yeah, that went really well the last time.
It did.
Some people got some home improvements done that was much needed, so. All right, any questions? And G, approve independent contractor agreement with Raymond and Associates for the administration of the THDA home grant.
Right, this is the lady that's helping us with the grant, make sure we're doing everything the way we're supposed to, and that's all part of the grant as well. The money comes out of the grant fund, so it's not coming out of our pockets. So to
And
speak.
she actually works with the citizens that
The
are
applicants,
chosen.
right, yeah.
And she handles all of that. She did a really good job the last time. Handles any complaints or anything that happens, so. Any questions? All righty, moving right along to new business. Historical Preservation Advisory Committee, we have one term vacant, and I think we actually have an application. So that's very exciting. Next, we have the Stormwater Advisory, Appeals and Advisory Board. We have one term that is vacant there. We still need an applicant for that, so. And this board is really easy. You do get classes on it. They meet once a year, sometimes twice, depending on the need of if we're in the building. And I know we're getting ready to start a lot of construction back again, but this is a very good board, very interesting board. So please, someone take some interest and get on this board. Next is our Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeal. And we have one vacancy there, and we still need some applications for that one. Any questions? All righty. Next, I'm sorry, did somebody say something? Okay. Number 7, first reading, ordinance 2014-17, an ordinance to amend the Laverne zoning ordinance as it pertains to single-family regulations in the R3 high-density residential district. Received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on June the 24th, 2014. Ms. Kristen, would you like to review over that for council?
Sure. I was asked by an applicant who is present today, and he can probably flesh out the reasoning behind it a little bit better, but I was asked to draft an ordinance that reduces the regulations from the existing R3 regulations just for single-family residential in R3. It's to help allow for more compact, high-density development in the R3 district, which is what R3 is for. And currently, single-family dwellings have to have 10,000 square foot lots, which is really not terribly, that doesn't account for much density. So if we reduce the single detached dwelling minimum lot size from the current regulation of 10,000 to 3,000, it'll help make some of these lots, especially some of the existing approved old lots, phases of cottages of Lake Forest, where we've got multifamily buildings that have been approved, which can be built as is right now, but they're not terribly marketable. They're not flying off the shelves, so to speak. And the applicant has worked for a while in the industry and has seen a trend towards small single-family lots where people can get a home that they own as opposed to a rental property. And it'll help allow for more marketable properties in Laverne, as well as if you increase the density in an area, it's less, it's better for your infrastructure, it's better for your roads. You don't have people traveling as far distances, so to speak, so.
And basically what brought this up, as everyone knows, there's a big piece of the cottages. And I believe there was like 500 units that are still that were already voted for, they can go in tomorrow if they so choose to do so. This company has purchased, now y'all help me here if I'm wrong, has helped, they've purchased this, and they do not want to build condos. They don't want to go to the 500 ones that are there, okay? It is an R3 zone. It's already zoned R3. So we're going to get if we do not do this, you're going to get condos anyway. But what they're trying to do is market more of, the best I can explain it, more of the look of Concord Road. When they were doing that, the more the cottage type where people actually have single dwellings in this. And it reduces it from 500 condos to half of that. You're looking at 250. So that's how it was explained. I'm just explaining to y'all how it was explained to us at Planning Commission. And that's what the Planning Commission was looking at. Do we want 500 condos that's already been, they can go in tomorrow, or do we want to work with this company and look at, take a look at R3 and half that amount? Of course, you know, half in that amount made everybody happy when you're talking about reducing that. So, but again, this property is already an R3 zone.
Where is R3?
We have, it's off of Sand Hill. If anybody that's not familiar with the cottages, we have that. And we have very little R3
Some off of Waldron that backs up to Blair.
to Blair.
Actually, that's the biggest piece right
That's
there.
the biggest piece.
And then we have a few on Cheney.
A small piece on Cheney. So it's not that we have a great deal of R3, and I know that this board is not comfortable with rezoning anyway. We all tend to steer away from R3s when we're talking about rezoning. So we're not talking about large sections of property like we have in R2s and R1s. And again, like I said, this is basically when we looked at the cottages and looked at there's 500 more apartment type going in there. It was sold, and we've seen the plans of the little cottages that they're planning on, you know, putting in there. And I'm, like I said, again, I'm just telling you what was brought to planning. Tom and I both are on planning. Their reasoning behind their favorable recommendation for this. So this board, if you have any questions, you may certainly, the gentleman is here that has the property that the cottages were going on. Of course, that gives you, you have 2 weeks this time that you can certainly get with Kristen to ask questions. You may certainly, please go visit the sites if you can, look it over. You can call any of the other Planning Commission members, ask them questions, and but that gives you 2 good weeks to really study this and review over it. Of course, you can always call Bruce if you have any other questions, and I'll let him speak to it if you would like.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. Good evening, Board. Thank you for having me here. My name is Walter O'Shea. I'm a development partner with Hines. I've been with them for almost 18 years now. Hines is a nationally recognized, privately held real estate development company. We've been in business for over 50 years, founded by Gerald Hines back in 1957 and still owned by Gerald and his son Jeff. We, as the mayor mentioned, we acquired a couple parcels of land in the Lake Forest Estates project late last year, total of about 95 acres. One portion of that is several phases of what's been known as the cottages of Lake Forest. There were several phases of that were commenced back in, I think 2000, early 2000 time period, and were developed as very high density townhome product. So these are roughly townhomes that are 20 feet wide. And the balance of this section of cottages was planned for additional townhomes. So the current plan that's in place is, I think, a little under, it's about 484 units for this section that we acquired for additional townhome product that's currently planned. And what we're looking to do is to try to modify the zoning code in a way that would allow for a smaller single-family home to be developed in lieu of the townhome or multifamily or condos that are currently allowed under the R3. As Kristen mentioned, right now the zoning code only allows for 10,000 square foot single-family lots. So the reality is there's no incentive to do a single-family product because the density would have to be so low with lots that are that large. So by reducing the lot size to, I think, 3,000 square feet, it in effect allows us to take two lots that were planned for townhomes, two 20-foot townhomes, combine them together, create one 40-foot wide lot that a 30-foot wide single-family home could be developed on. And I showed some examples to the Planning Commission of what those 30-foot homes could look like, and there's a nice variety of architecture and plans that are available by builders, in this marketplace. So we would hope to be able to attract single-family builders into that section of Lake Forest rather than being kind of only left with the option of doing additional townhomes, condos, or multifamily development. So that's, as you described well by the mayor, really kind of restating what you indicated. I think the good news is we've already started to meet with some builders regarding interest in this area, and I think we're starting to see home prices coming back to the point where we might be able to support some new home development in both the cottages as well as the estates of Lake Forest.
And I do have a question, and I don't know that anybody ever asked this at planning. The majority of the condos were rented, am I correct? That's what I thought.
Yeah, the
And
townhomes.
These homes will be privately owned homes.
That's our intent. We would have a
Okay.
builder come in
There's no
there and
risk,
sell
okay.
them, and we don't build homes. We do the horizontal development and plan it, put architectural and homeowners controls in place, and then bring in either, regional, national, or local builders to build homes.
Would that be above ground or below ground utilities?
It wasn't. It could be either.
I know it would probably look better if they could go underground utilities.
And actually, I wanted to add, since Mr. Smith brought up parking earlier, this development style would still be bound to the 3 spaces per dwelling unit. So we made sure that could be accounted for with such a small lot, and it can be done so that there won't be obviously any parking
Parking in the yard.
in the yard or on the street since it's not allowed.
I think it would be helpful if maybe by the meeting, if we could get he brought, I'd say 15, 20 potential properties, which may or may not be the same, but I think we go a long way for everyone to see what.
And get that visual.
I've got extra copies if you want me.
That would be
give them to Kristen
fabulous.
and pass them.
I'm all for it if it'll get that place cleaned up.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it
Because
would.
it's pretty sad shape.
Right.
Storm drains that are 8 foot deep with no grates on them.
Do y'all have any other questions of anyone involved?
What I did in the package, there's just some photos of the existing townhomes. And then I think one example of a single-family home actually within Lake Forest that is on that would be a example of a 30-foot wide home product. And then I just went online and looked and searched for 30-foot wide home plans. And there's a plethora of plans that are available. Might have a 1 or 2 car garage, depending on what the builder chooses to do. But I think we can definitely open up a different market segment. I just looked at kind of pricing just to give you a sense. If you looked at sales of existing townhomes in the trade area versus a smaller single-family home on just a 50-foot lot, the average sale price for the townhomes was $67,000 versus the average sales price for the single-family home was $107,000. So a $40,000 price difference when you move from that townhome to a smaller single-family home. So it's again, hopefully significantly higher value, and we're hoping that once you start to see pricing into the $125,000 to $150,000 price range, then that can support new construction of that product. And one thing, Alderman Farmer, that you mentioned, there is infrastructure in the ground in some of these areas. So we're trying to also work with a plan that allows us to utilize the existing infrastructure rather than rip that all back out. So that's part of the strategy here.
But it's sad shape.
Yeah. So we've secured it with some gates and cleaned up all the debris that was out there. And
Christine, if you can kind of maybe put a footnote about underground utilities, that really, on a small lots, that really looks good. It's underground utilities.
Any other questions? We'll save those after the meeting if you want to ask. Keeps hitting their mic.
That's me.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. All right, number 8. First reading, ordinance 2014-18, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 fiscal year general fund budget.
Mayor, as you know, we're well into our year-end balancing of our funds, and we have a couple of ordinances that we need to look at in order to get this in line. The first one is in the general fund, and we need to amend the general fund's City Hall budget for the fiscal year 13-14. We had some line items that we overspent on. They were repair and maintenance, insurance, and repair and maintenance services. On the repair and maintenance building, we had some repair costs from Top Notch Construction and some air conditioning, expenses that we hadn't anticipated. Of course, in the insurance, we added on, some the fire department, which increases our workers' comp, increases our property liability, and so forth. And then in the repair and maintenance services, we had some additional work done by Guardian and Seals Electric that caused our line items to go over budget.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Next, first reading, ordinance 2014-19, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 fiscal year grants fund budget.
It's another cleanup item. This is for a grant purchase. It's from the government highway safety grant. Generally, that grant only covers wages, but they were able to get a change in the grant and purchase some equipment to the tune of $3,000. But we have to do a budget amendment whenever that happens, because we don't always budget or don't always know at the beginning or prior year they're going to get a grant. So we have $3,000 worth of equipment we need to change our line item for.
Okay. Any questions? Number 10, first reading, ordinance 2014-20, an ordinance to amend the 2013-2014 fiscal year drug fund budget.
Mayor, as you know, we had some additional expenses this year with the K-9. He's had several surgeries and some little mishaps. And then, of course, the purchasing of him and the training. We do need to amend the budget for that, but we're going to offset it by decreasing some expenditures in the undercover operations. And then the balance of it will come from our fund balance.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you.
Number 11, resolution 2014-23, a resolution to authorize special military leave as provided in the City of Laverne personnel policies and procedures. Who's going to take that one for me? Ms. Cheryl? There she is.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. We need to place before the Board of Aldermen Group an actual request for a resolution recognizing the fact that we have a few employees that have received national orders to be deployed overseas. In our current personnel employee handbook, there is a section entitled Special Military Leave. And in order to take care of this extra leave, we have to place a resolution before you in hopes that you would consider this. Again, we have 2 known employees that are going to be deployed in October, and I'm sure we may have others. The deployment is coming from a federal mandate from the President of the United States. They are reservists who will be called to active duty, and this provision will allow for additional 22 days of military leave that will allow them to continue their benefits while they're away out of the country, and it will help defray some of the expense that's going to be placed upon their families. So we will be developing the resolution. It will be ready for your review and consideration at the Board and Aldermen Mayor meeting in 2 weeks. Are there any questions about this special leave?
Any questions? Phyllis?
Do we have anything in the military leave about, or does the city offer a difference in pay provision?
Yes,
Is it in there?
it's listed in this section, page 80 of our employee handbook, and it talks about the activation of this rule shall apply under passage of a resolution by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for each national emergency and may at their discretion apply retroactively to the time operations relative to said emergency commenced. And it looks about paying them the difference in what is not being, paid to them. And also it talks to the fact that there are applicable taxes and benefits that we need to attend to in their absence.
The maximum monthly amount is $750 per month. That's what the city will pay. So, but all of that is in there. I can send you a copy of that tomorrow.
I was asked a very good question. Those employees that occur and they have several vacation days,
That's correct.
if they don't use them prior to January, they lose them.
Yes.
And so I've had some that actually wanted to use their vacation up to the year as, they would just wanted to say, can I just use my vacation, even though they're on military, use their vacation so they won't lose their time. Again,
The way it was explained to me, I know which employee you're referring to. There's going to be a time frame from the time he leaves to the time he starts getting paid by the military. And so we're going to allow him to use his vacation during that time, and it will help him reduce his annual leave down where he shouldn't lose any. That's what we're striving for. So
okay,
we
so
should
that's
be okay there.
Just want to make sure that, yeah.
And the 22 days that we're speaking of, they actually act just like FMLA. They occur per calendar year, and we are to apply them like a rolling FMLA calendar.
Okay.
So in other words, it's not 22 days this year and then 22 days next year. It's a rolling window.
Excellent. Any questions? Any more questions? If not, okay.
Thank you.
We move right along. Number 12, motion to approve a request for proposal for building improvements at Fire Station 3. You want to take that one, Lisa?
Put an RFP out last week. We have a pre-bid meeting with any contractors or developers that want to come forward to help with this project. This is a 9-foot addition that we went before and got some zoning, or not zoning changes, but some approval to special addition. So that's basically what this is bringing before you is the 5th of this coming month is they'll be coming to that meeting, and then it closes on the 11th, and then we'll be bringing it before you on the 14th. One of the reasons we're bringing it to you now, we were actually probably not going to address this to maybe further on over into the year, maybe even as far as January. But we're having to bring this forward because the trucks have moved forward in build. Originally, the platform was not scheduled to start even going into construction until January, which would have put it in June before we got delivery. The 3 quints, the 75-foot quints, weren't going into production until March, which means we would have gotten them in July or August of next year. Everything's moved forward 5 months, though. Now, we're going to take delivery of the platform now in January and take delivery of the 3 quints in March. So the quint, one of those 3 quints goes to Station 3, and that building was not built with enough depth in order to house that piece of equipment. So this is that 3-bay addition to Station 3.
We've talked about it for months.
Yes, this was actually something that we even brought up during the retreat and all. It was part of the deal with the apparatus itself, was to do that addition to that building. And we're doing all 3 bays across. We're not doing anything to the living quarters side. It's just the bay extension of 9 feet out. Fire apparatus now that used to build them very short and very tall. Now they're building apparatus shorter and longer. So regardless of what we do, at what time we do it, if it had even been further down the road, we would still had to make this building addition to Station 3. It was just not looked into well enough when that station was being built, even though it's the newest station. The bay depth's just not, our current trucks right now are almost against the walls. So there's just no way we could be able to get this new apparatus in that station without doing so. That's also, the 30-foot hazmat trailer is also housed in that station, and as you know with it, it's actually against the wall in the back. So when we're putting it in, it's kind of a tedious chore to make sure we don't do damage to the building. So this was something that needed to be done regardless.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 13, motion to approve a request for proposal for a benefits broker consultant for health insurance benefits. Ms. Cheryl?
Good evening again. We placed an RFP in the paper July 1st, and we received 4 proposed bids for our brokerage consulting services. This is something that we felt that was very much needed because we have not done this. In the past 20 years, we've had pretty much the same consultant working with the city. Again, you all have extended a rich benefit for all of our employees, and we want to make sure that we're getting everything that we need to get because you have graciously extended the benefit. We want to ensure that we're very progressive and that we're going to continue with the quality of the services that we've been provided, but we need to improve those services. There have been numerous concerns placed before the Department of Human Resources as well as the administrator as far as some of the services and the quality of the benefits that we are receiving through the TPA group. We feel that this will be very advantageous to all of our employees for us to formally review those services that have been provided and to look at providing a richer opportunity for our employees and for the board, again, to further accentuate the fact that it is such a rich benefit. We received 4 bids, and those individuals will be coming in within the next week to present information about their services and what they can do to help broaden our benefits, also to work on our wellness incentives, to help us with our open enrollment process, and to educate our employees on things that are happening in our society that will be beneficial for them to look at their benefits long term in regard to health, wellness, life insurance, employee assistance programs, our property and casualty coverage. Again, we want this to be very inclusive. So again, we're looking for a group that can bring us up to date and keep us very marketable for employing individuals, and we feel that this was very much needed. Those 4 groups will be coming in to interview next week, and in 2 weeks we will present or recommend, the committee will recommend a broker that we would like to see in place And again, we are also considering our current broker as well. But this is a process that has not been done, and normally it's done every 4 to 5 years. Why it has not been done, I'm not certain, but we felt that it was very needed to at this time.
Are they going to be more user-friendly?
Definitely. Customer service is pinnacle. Again, for claims, customer service, coordination of benefits, follow-up, educating our employees. It's a must. We just have to have better service and better turnaround.
Yeah,
And
'cause, I mean, I
even-
feel like if you got more than one insurance, this insurance, you do more work than they do. Because you spend daily sending them information.
Correct.
Because they deny everything.
So we want to broaden our opportunity to look at a variety, a myriad of groups to be able to bid out our TPA services and to hone in on our employee needs.
Sounds good. Any more questions?
No, I'm thrilled to death you're looking for something different.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Motion to approve a purchase agreement with the United States Canine Unlimited Incorporated to purchase a canine officer for the police department. Thank you, Chief Lowry.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board. This is for the purchase of the acquisition of another canine to outfit our department. As you heard, our other canine is not as he getting old, but as they work, they do sometimes sustain injuries, things of that nature. So a lot of times you'll have to take one out of service, which leaves you without that capability. That dog is incredibly effective. We're looking at purchasing another dog. This dog will come from the exact same location in the Netherlands where he's going to be imported from. He'll be trained here in the United States by Roger Apshire, who is a certified trainer for the United States Army. He has 32 years of experience. This location he'll be trained in using the same methods, standards, techniques that the previous canine was trained in, and it will bring another very valuable asset to us that we have in Mike. The dog is named Jacques. He will be available for us to start training with on the 2nd day of September. So we are currently, matter of fact, tomorrow is our closing date for the officers to put in for the position of canine handler. And at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, we'll look and see who has put in and start evaluation processes for the dog handler, should you guys wish to approve that.
Now, the last time, this came from, I think it was totally paid for out of drug.
This will be, this as
So
will
it's
this.
paid for itself.
It will be paid for, yes ma'am. It will be paid for out of the drug fund, and it is, again, it's
They are earning their keep.
recouped.
That's right. They are
Yes.
definitely earning their keep. Any questions? Thank you, Chief.
Have a great night.
All right. Number 15, discussion bond issue for new fire apparatus.
Mayor, of course, Ricky's already mentioned the apparatus, the fact that they were drastically moved up in the schedule, much quicker than we had anticipated. Of course, back in May, this board approved the purchase of those 4 pieces of apparatus, which is basically $4.15 million. We had talked at that time that we would do a bond issue at a later date to fund these. Ashley McAnulty is here tonight to discuss the bond issue with you. Of course, this is separate from the refunding bond issue that we approved, I believe it was last month. But we wanted to talk about this bond issue so that we can get the resolution approved by this council. But we probably won't actually let these bonds until like December or January, when it comes closer for like the tower to actually get here. So one thing that has been discussed by several is whether or not we wanted to fund anything else in addition to the apparatus. One project that I had heard and we had discussed was the extension of East near Schreibman, basically the connection at the roundabout to Lake Forest Estates, basically where we had just put that water line in. I had asked Bill Griggs to give us an estimate on that. The estimated cost to build that road, it's a 2-lane road with storm drains, curb and gutter, striping and signage, sidewalks, all of that is $950,000. So we wanted to ask the board and discuss it if you'd like, whether or not you would want to add that in with this bond issue. It's certainly not mandatory that you do so, but you know, it would help the citizens in Lake Forest Estates being able to get in and out of the subdivision, and we just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions and if you wanted to actually do that or not.
Wasn't that on the main thoroughfare when all this started back in Lake Forest, back in what, early 90s? Was that not discussed back then?
It was one of the exits back then, or one of the, you know, streets to be connected.
Oh, I know when we were putting the water line in, we were getting a lot of happy, because they thought it was actually the road going in.
Right.
They were so happy when they found out it was a water line. It was like, ugh.
I think with Walmart and the traffic that will be coming there, this will be key to another exit for the city.
And that's our problem now on Fergus Road. A lot of these exits never came to fruition. They were supposed to have been done, they weren't done, and now we've got bottlenecking everywhere. But I mean, it is definitely up to this board.
That's part of the problem, but the other part is a lot of people don't know one way in and one way out.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't know how to get to their house but one way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's sad, but there's a lot of people that they
Mhm.
know they come to Laverne to come home and know how to get to their house.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that you can turn off these other streets.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ashley can probably talk a little more to the cost as far as what we would probably have to pay for the bond issue if it were just the apparatus, or if we added that extra $1 million in. Ashley, if you can help us out there.
Evening, Mayor, Aldermen, members of the Laverne community. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight. The question has come up about the fire apparatus. We've worked that into an amount for the bond issue, and that annually runs approximately little under $300,000, so 3% or less in the current interest rate market. Of course, those bonds would be competitively bid and sold at the time that you all get ready to do that. So the resolution that you would pass at your next meeting would simply put you in a position to issue those bonds to cover that, to cover those apparatus that you've already determined you need and are ready to move forward with. If you do the additional road improvements, you're only going to add about $70,000 to $75,000 additional debt service annually. If you need to do those type projects, right now is a good time in the low interest rate environment that we're in, when you can borrow 20 years at less than 3%. It makes sense if you've got some things that need to be taken care of to go ahead and take care of those. I think that takes care of most of the equipment needs for the fire department, and like I said, we would do those through a competitive bid. We'd come to the city and take those bids here. So I don't know if y'all have any questions. We'll have obviously detailed resolutions. In the resolutions, we can outline the maximum amount, and that will just stipulate the maximum that you could borrow. If you decide not to issue that full amount, then you don't have to do that. It just simply puts you in a position to be able to issue those bonds if and when you decide you want to do that.
Okay. Y'all have any questions for Ashley? Any questions? And I'd also like to point out right now, and this is helping him, we've discussed when he talked about our payment. Our newest truck is an 04. Now that the city owns them, a lot of people don't realize we have to pass TDOT inspections. That's bringing the cost of those, and a lot of our equipment is decades old. I'm talking about not 1 or 2, 3 decades. So we're spending a great deal of money from the tune of $250 and up on just maintenance and keeping this equipment up just to TDOT standards. And that's not oh, that's a luxury. That's a necessity. You have to meet TDOT standards now because the city owns the equipment. And owns the
Chief,
fire
can you
department.
tell us how much
Yeah.
we spent since January?
Yes.
Our second truck is in the shop right now. Actually, we got our second one back from getting all the inspections done on it, the pump testing and everything. It needed to be brought up to par where preventive maintenance had not been done before. We're probably approaching somewhere around $78,000 right now on 2 trucks. That's since January 1st. We still have 2 county trucks that have to go because we have to maintain those trucks as well. We have another ladder truck that needs to go, and the platform, bless its heart, I don't think we're even going to try to do anything to it. The value of that truck's $20,000, and we could spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in repairs on it. That just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, haven't y'all had trucks breaking down, coming back
We
and
have.
getting fixed?
And in all actuality, the trucks are just old. They look really good. The guys take really good care of them. Driving by a fire station or seeing these trucks out on the road, they look fabulous. Anybody's welcome to come in and take a good look at this apparatus. The first one we sent out, I think we spent about $28,000 on repairs. We got it back in the station the following day. A firefighter went to get out the back and the door handle fell off of it. Had to be let out by the engineer to get out of the truck. It's just constantly one thing after the other. The engine that we just got back, the foam pump's still off of it. We found out the other day that foam pump alone, just to put 2 new shafts in it, is $8,000. The truck is useless without the foam pump on it. So I went back today and actually looked at the budget, starting to work on next year's budget to see what we can do to reduce to help pay these bond issues and stuff. We currently have $250,000 in maintenance and repairs this year. We're going to reduce that to $50,000 next year. So there's $200 of this money coming back next year, especially with the trucks coming in earlier. Hopefully we won't even spend the $250. That's our goal, is to not spend it, but we have to keep the trucks in service and running. The other part, as you know, was $48,000 put over from rescue. That was a one-time purchase for us. That $48,000 is coming back as well. So that's $248,000 of this bond issue that we can already see that we can put back for this. Plus, you're getting new apparatus that'll last you 20 or 25 years. This apparatus was bought used. When you buy used, it's like buying a used car. You don't know what you're getting. And we run a lot of calls now. As you said, we're running EMS for the city now. That's a very much needed service. We provide very good care to the people of Laverne, and it's not something that I think that we would want to look at trying to stop.
And let's also remind people, the consumer price index each year that was going to the privately owned fire department, which was going in the pocket, is staying here in the city, going to the city stuff.
And since we're on the fire department thing here, I've noticed there's a whole lot of social media that's loving to throw a lot of accusations out about how money is being spent. Our doors are open. The fire stations, the fire department, it belongs to the taxpayers of Laverne. Our doors are open. Our books are open to them. They're more than welcome to come in. I had Miss Phyllis look just yesterday and today. She went back over a spreadsheet for me on our budget for fire, line by line. People keep saying, well, we can't see where the money's going. Well, yes, you can. We have a line by line certified copy of our annual budget up until 2020 that shows the increases not only for the municipal fire department operating until 2020, but what the private fire service estimation was going to cost the citizens until 2020. I think people will be it will be very drastic for them to see those numbers. It was a savings till 2020, and this was just not knowing what the consumer price indexing would be for private fire's increase. It's showing a savings already of $5.5 million by 2020. We're going to spend 4.7 on this new equipment, but we're showing that we can put the money back to help pay this bond, as well as we've added 11 new paid firefighters. We've given them incentives to stay in Laverne, which we know how important that is. We've increased our services to the citizens of Laverne by doing medical response, doing the extrication, and cutting that cost back as well. So I would just say to the citizens of Laverne, our doors are open. Did we buy some new furniture in January? Yes, we did. I can show you the pictures of what we replaced. It was in such poor condition that we could not even get rid of it on Gov Deals. Nobody would even bid $5 on it. The arms were falling off of them. We bought off of a contract that the city of Murfreesboro was using. So People are more than willing to come in and sit in those chairs if they like to. But I really wish that the citizens of Laverne, this is their fire department, this is their city. I'd really like for them to come into a fire station and see what it truly is that we do every day. What we do every day. It's their money that purchases this stuff. I'm more than happy for any of them to come and look and see what we do. Do we have recliners to sit in? Yes, we do. Do we have gold thrones to use the restroom in? I haven't seen those. So, you know, we do a lot of work in our fire stations on our own. We mow our own grass, we clean our own floors, we take out our own garbage. We don't just sit around washing trucks all day long. These guys are extremely busy every day.
All day.
So, training, I'll touch on that. We have trained instructors in our department. Very rarely do we send people outside of our department for training. We send people to be instructors in our department so that they can train our own people from that point forward. Extrication training, we haven't paid a dime for that. Extrication training, we've been training extrication since I started. I started when I was 16 years old in the junior program here. When I turned 19, I was trained in extrication and was a certified medical first responder for the state of Tennessee. This is all I've known and all I've done my whole life. I am a resident here, I pay taxes here, and I love this city. So anybody that wants to come in and take a tour of a fire station, I would encourage them to do that. I'll get off my soapbox now, but regardless, they're welcome.
I think he just upped your cause, Ashley.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said I think he was proving your point here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just one other thing, the refunding will help to offset some of the purchase of that equipment as well. You have additional debt service that will pay off, so the city's in good position to take care of these needs if you determine they are what you feel like you need to do.
Well, actually, we're in very good financial shape.
Right, that's right.
Or you wouldn't even get to be here.
That's
if
right.
we were not.
Well,
So-
you have a AA rating again, which is a really good rating compared to other cities and counties and states in the country. So I think you can be proud of that. And so I'll have the resolutions worked up for the next meeting. You all can instruct as to what amount you'd like to borrow, and then we'll go from there. I'll be
Okay.
available for any questions afterwards as well.
And in the meantime, y'all be deciding if y'all would like to consider going on and completing your Shreveman.
I can tell you now, I'd like to consider it.
Okay.
So, I mean, whatever you
I would
guys
as well.
figured in.
Okay. So I will have to, be ready to voice your opinions there when we bring this up, I guess when you come back.
We'll
when we
plan
get
on
to-
that dollar amount for the resolution,
Okay.
and then if there's any changes, y'all can vote on it that night.
Okay,
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
thank you. All right, guys. Down to Mayor and Alderman comments. Alderman Broker, we'll start at your end.
I don't have any, Mayor.
Quiet, quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Waldron?
Remind people about the tax-free weekend, and thank everybody for the basket they sent. Appreciate that. That's it.
Vice Mayor?
I got nothing.
Got nothing? Alderman Green? We'd like to remember, we had 2 employees who lost a mother this weekend. Bubba Hartman in water billing lost his mother, and Chief Walker lost his mother. So continue to pray for these families in this time of sorrow. Also, we've got National Night Out Tuesday night. It begins at 6 o'clock at Veterans Park. So please come out, have some good fun, meet all of our emergency personnel, and just get out and visit. I think it'll be a great time for adults and for the children. So please come out to that. And then next Thursday is actual voting for your state and county. So get out and vote. So that pushes us to the next week to be back here for the meeting. So I thank everyone that came out tonight, and I guess we'll see you back here in 2 weeks, and hope to see all of y'all Tuesday night at National Night Out. With that being said, I'll call this meeting adjourned.